All right, welcome back. Today we're talking about picking the right mastermind for 2024. I'm going to be sharing what is a mastermind, what kinds of masterminds they have, what kinds of opportunities should you be thinking about. So first of all, it is definitely that time of year, as we get towards the end of the year, that business owners are thinking masterminds. So if it's crossed your mind or you've been hearing this phrase, this term, we're going to cover what that looks like today. So I've been in a mastermind now, not the same one, but I've been in many masterminds for over 15 years. And there are a lot of different types out there. There are peer-led masterminds, which just means a group of friends get together. There is specifically a mastermind where they call it a mastermind, but it kind of feels like group coaching, where there's truly a leader. People are gathering to learn from that specific leader. There are free masterminds. There are paid masterminds. There are very, very, very pricey masterminds that they are an investment. I'm talking $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 a year. You might be thinking, I don't even make $100,000 a year, and I would invest $100,000 a year. So masterminds can be very, very valuable. In fact, when you pick the right mastermind, it can make you a lot of money, which is why somebody might decide to pay $50,000 or $40,000 or whatever number and rejoin the next year because they found it so valuable and they got such a high ROI on that specific mastermind. So I'm going to talk about all the different options. So what is a mastermind? Are they worth the hype? Are they worth $20,000, $40,000, $100,000? Okay, I've paid all the numbers. How to know if one makes sense for you with what stage you're in business, and then things to consider before actually picking them. So what is a mastermind? So the word mastermind came originally from Napoleon Hill, and he talked about finding a group of like-minded individuals. And that's really what it is. It's just a group of people that come together with similar goals and similar ideas just to figure out, as in business, when we're thinking about who is joining the circle. Would I want to be in this room? Would I find value from being in this room? Why a mastermind? So one of the things I will share is that the bigger I get, the more I don't know what I'm doing. All right. As a multiple 7-figure-a-year business owner, it's shocking the things I don't know. And I don't know what it's going to take to hit 8 figures a year. But when I get around other people that are heading there too, that maybe have already been there, I learn so much and I learn so quickly from them what makes sense and what doesn't. And when I hear you tried that and it didn't work, okay, let me dissect why it didn't work or what I could do differently than what you did. Or, oh my goodness, you've been trying for 3 years and you've done everything. Okay, maybe that's not the best place or best use of my time. Another reason why a lot of people join masterminds is connection. Right? Sometimes it can be a very lonely experience to be an entrepreneur. Even if you're surrounded by a team, you've got 10 people, 20 people, 100 people on your team, it can be really, really lonely because you're probably not going to share when something's going really bad in the business. Something's really stressing you out. You're feeling like, oh my goodness, this just happened and we might make less money than we did last year, right? You don't want to share certain things like that with your team because you might stress them out or freak them out, right? But when you can tell other business owners who have gone through similar things, they don't have a judgment. They're like, oh yeah, I've been through that. Oh, I totally get it. We had that happen 3 months ago or 6 months ago or whatever it is. So there's just a different type of connection. And if you are doing business alone, if you are having to keep all of that to yourself, or maybe you just have your spouse who's not in the business, right? And you have friends, but they're not friends that own businesses, right? They're friends that have your typical 9-to-5 job, and you can't even share some of the things that's going on in your business. They wouldn't even know how to respond. They maybe wouldn't even believe some of the numbers you're going to be sharing. So finding a mastermind where you can say numbers and there's no judgment and people go, yeah, we do that too. Or, oh, I did that, right? Is so, so incredible. One of my favorite things is when I say, I'm like maybe embarrassed to admit it. And then I tell somebody, okay, so we've been trying this for 3 months and it's not working. And then all of a sudden they go, oh, here's what actually happened to us. Or they might say something like, oh, our Facebook ads aren't working either right now. And then you're like, Okay, it's not me. The business isn't broken. Maybe the structure, maybe the model, like maybe the platform we're using isn't really effective right now. So all of a sudden, instead of me freaking out that our Facebook ads aren't working, I find out the rest of the room is struggling too. And there's something about going, oh, okay, it's not me. So what are we going to do about this? Let's brainstorm. Let's strategize. What can we do to get through this like rough patch? And let me tell you, when you get reassured versus disappointed, the actions you take are completely different, because when you're quiet and you keep that to yourself and nobody else knows you're struggling, you might be beating yourself up, maybe procrastinating, not taking action, versus you now know everybody's struggling with this too, and you take different action. So that alone could completely give you return on investment. And the next piece is accountability. So first of all, I think we all need accountability, right? It's just so much easier to get things going and get things started when you know somebody's going to ask you about it. So when you share in your mastermind, I'm working on this for the next 90 days, or I want to hit 2 million next year or 5 million next year, and they hear you say that, there is a level of accountability where we don't let it go, right? So when we run into somebody, we might say, okay, how's that project coming? Where are you at with your $2.5 million goal this year, right? And when you know you're in a room with other high achievers, other go-getters, especially when you're in ones they've paid to be in, they always say like the transformation is in the transaction sometimes, right? Just being in a room where people are spending 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand, et cetera, right? All of a sudden, it's just a different type of person. And when you have invested that kind of money and you have shared in front of people what you're about to do or what you want to do, when you show up for the next call or the next in-person event, trust me, you want to come having things done because you know they're going to ask you. So the level of accountability in masterminds is massive. Real-time and relevant feedback is crucial when you're talking masterminds. So I was in a mastermind with somebody a few years ago, and then I rejoined the mastermind next year, and she didn't. And she said, hey, like very confused, are you joining again? Why do you need another mastermind? Like you should have so many ideas from last year. Why do you need another one? Okay, so first of all, I've been in masterminds since the age of 21. I have never taken a break from masterminds ever. Okay. Some of them I rinsed and repeat many years, and some of them I stayed in for a year or 3 years or whatever. And then I maybe found a different one, but I've always had a group of people that have had my back. Okay. And one of the reasons that I always stay inside of some mastermind is because you want real-time feedback and you want relevant feedback. So what worked 2 years ago might not work now, right? You might have heard a strategy when you were in that mastermind 2 years ago, and that strategy is completely ineffective today. So for me, it's like having my own board of directors. Okay. I'm a small business owner. I don't actually have a board of directors, but the mastermind, it feels like a board of directors, right? So having the opportunity to brainstorm with a group of individuals, right? To be held accountable, to hear what's working, what have you tried? There are some things I don't even try because I've seen in the group, this isn't a good use of everybody's time. Like 6 people have already tried this and they have said no ROI, right? And I might really trust those people and know that they're go-getters and they're action takers. And I might go, that looks maybe not like the strategy for me, but that one over here that 4 people have done and have all gotten success, I'm going to try that. Now, private coaching, I actually haven't had a private coach in a while, meaning like one-on-one, I'm talking to somebody. I did have one for many, many years in the beginning stages of my business. I love private coaching, but the reason I no longer have one, somebody asked me this already. They're like, why do you not have a private coach? Well, I would only hire a coach that's further along than me. But somebody further along than me doesn't need to do private coaching. They can make a whole lot more money one-to-many. So there's not a lot of people out there offering one-on-one services that I would personally be able to learn from and actually take that and grow my business. I don't even offer one-on-one coaching. So you have to think about that, right? If I'm not willing to do it because it's not worth my time anymore. It's the ROI on private coaching versus one-to-many, it just can't be beat. So somebody had said to me, I'm not going to join well-oiled. I'd rather just get a private coach. And I was like, here's the deal. Somebody that's private coaching, right, has not created the business at scale that we've created. So you can go learn from them, but think about the person you're learning from and that strategy, that support. So you got to be really careful. At some point, I've noticed like there are a lot of people you outgrow. Now, do I still hire consultants one-off? It might be like for a day or for an hour. Yes, but it is very difficult at my level to find somebody who will coach me privately one-on-one that has a bigger business than me. Okay. So something to consider. Now, another reason why I actually like masterminds over one-on-one coaching. This is a huge one. So here's the deal. If you have a coach, a lot of times they direct you with the roadmap and what they're planning to do. Or if they're not as experienced, they let you come to the calls and lead. So you might, and this happened a lot with me. I'm a very in charge kind of girl. So they always usually let me lead. But the problem with that is I don't know my own blind spots. So if I come with an idea that I want to work on, they're going to teach me how to do that idea. Okay. And I might be so far down this rabbit hole. That's really all we cover is this thing that I've suggested. In a mastermind, I don't control the conversation. I'm just a part of the conversation. So all of a sudden somebody will say something and I go, whoa, I've never even heard of that. Tell me more, fill me in, right? And all of a sudden I am down a path that I would never have been down if I was just in one-on-one coaching and I was just talking to the person that was kind of leading, right? Or letting me lead, if that makes sense. So at some point, I think there is this up level into the mastermind arena. I will say for a while, I had a one-on-one coach and a mastermind. And then at some point, the mastermind was where I was getting most of the value and I let go of my one-on-one coach. Something else that masterminds are phenomenal with is getting names, connections, referrals, recommendations. So I don't ever just Google like amazing CPAs in Wisconsin or anything like that. I would never, ever, ever be like book editors. I wouldn't Google any of that stuff. I go to my mastermind and I say, hey, I'm looking for a new Facebook ads strategist. Anybody have a good one that has openings? And the chat just blows up with people that are loving a certain person. Here's what they're telling me. They're passing me phone numbers. They're passing me emails. They're connecting me through emails and things like that, making those introductions. So they become a Rolodex. All right. And I will tell you, it's so much better to have somebody who has been personally recommended, right? Than Google, and you kind of take this gamble if they're going to be really as good as their reviews say, right? Or as they say on their website. So this is massive. If you are not using your mastermind for referrals, recommendations, et cetera, it's huge. I will tell you, Powerhouse, which is the mastermind I host for my clients, they are sharing so many people. Sometimes they're sharing employees. Maybe they could only afford to hire somebody part-time, but the other person wanted somebody part-time too. And they go in and they hire one person and they're sharing. They're passing around VAs, contractors, their favorite graphic designers, you name it. It is such a massive benefit. All right, so here are some things that I would think about or ask yourself as I was preparing for a mastermind, okay? So number one, what is your intention? What are you hoping to get out of this? Why are you joining? So there's a lot of reasons you might join a mastermind. You might decide, I really want to learn from the host. You might join not thinking you want connections and you want to meet the group. That just might be a bonus, but you might really be watching somebody and say, I want to learn from them, so I'm going to get in their room. You might be there not for the facilitator, but you might go, I want to hang out with the people this facilitator is attracting. So that's another reason sometimes people will join because they're just going, I just want to be in a room with 7 or 8 figure entrepreneurs, things like that. The big question you want to be thinking about is, will this mastermind stretch me? Whether it's the people in the room or the facilitator. So I've been in both where the facilitator is so far above and beyond what I'm doing, but I'm not really attracted to the group itself. But I know being in that room, getting closer access to somebody that no longer does private coaching is still massively beneficial. Okay. Sometimes I might not even be that big of a fan of the facilitator. Like it's not somebody I want to have my business model, but I might see who they're attracting and go, I want to get in this room. So you just have to really know what you're shooting for and then start to look around. When I say, will they stretch you, right? When you are in a room with go-getters and action takers, you will start to think bigger. I remember we had this crazy year where like 3 people came in and they hit, some of them were already business owners, but they created new businesses. And like 3 of them hit $1 million in year 1. Now, again, wasn't their first business. They were experienced. Once you know it, it's a lot easier to create it. But we had somebody in the room that identified with them and said, why am I shooting for 700,000? Like if they can hit 1 million, I can hit 1 million, right? And it just got her thinking bigger, behaving differently. If she were on her own and never saw those big results, she would have shot for 700 and maybe she would have hit it. Maybe she would have missed it a little bit, right? But being in the room, she just set the bar even higher. Hearing numbers is so powerful. If you run Facebook ads and you spend $10 a day, right? It might feel even scary to spend that much. And then, pretty soon you've spent $1,000 a day. You kind of keep busting your own new norm and you feel more comfortable once it is your norm. But what's crazy is when you walk into a room and you've been spending $1,000 a month on Facebook ads and you think that's a big deal. And then you hear somebody spending $1,000 a day, you start to go, whoa, I didn't even know this world existed. And that is what I mean by being stretched. Don't allow yourself to be overwhelmed that somebody's making more money than you. Success leaves clues. You get access to that person. Ask, find out, dig around, right? Use that opportunity to figure out what are they doing to scale that fast. All right. So one of the things that I want you to ask yourself too is what does accountability look like? So no, this isn't like one-on-one coaching for the most part. Some masterminds will offer some sort of accountability or private coaches that are not the facilitator. So in Powerhouse, I'm not one of the private coaches, but we do offer one-on-one private coaching with our instructors that are certified in our framework. So they can go through any part of the program and they know all of the answers, because they have been certified, trained, tested with us specifically. So you're not most likely going to find accountability from the leader, okay, unless you're maybe not quite at a level yet. And maybe that person is still offering the one-on-one, okay? But as you're really scaling, that's not going to be the opportunity, okay? So what level of accountability do you get, if anything? There are some programs where you can be MIA and no one's going to say anything or care. Okay. You want to make sure that you are in a mastermind where they do notice, they do reach out, they are trying to get you involved, because you don't want to spend this kind of money and then not actually get an ROI, return on investment, from it. You also want to know, is there opportunity for what I call, like you might hear the phrase hot seats. I don't love that phrase. I try to use the word laser coaching more, but an opportunity for laser coaching where you get to go up in front of the room, whether it's virtual or in person, and ask some questions. And everybody is focused on your business. Okay. So what does that look like? I would specifically ask, will I ever have the opportunity to ask questions where we set aside time just on my business specifically? All right, let's talk about free versus paid masterminds. Okay, free sounds amazing. Like save 20 grand a month, or not a month, a year, 50 grand a year. I know a mastermind that is like, I think 250,000 a year is like the biggest one I'm aware of today. Okay, that's a lot of money. So free can start to look really, really exciting. And I will tell you, there are some pros and there are some cons. Okay, I will tell you this. I've hosted free peer-led masterminds in the past, okay? And it becomes a lot. And at some point, the reason people pay for masterminds is because there's so much work to do on the mastermind, like the facilitator's end, that at some point they're like, I have to charge for this, right? Just the amount of time it takes to plan, to prep, to everything, okay? So when people start free masterminds, they do it for a little while, and then at some point, the facilitator who's doing all of this work and not getting paid, sometimes not even getting acknowledged for their hard work, right? They become resentful and they're like, I quit, I'm done. And everybody else sees how much work they put in and nobody wants to take it over, okay? I have left many, many masterminds where I have been the leader and I've done it for free. And I'm not even kidding. There was one mastermind I was in for like 3 or 4 years. We met every single month for 3 or 4 years. We all had to drive about an hour to an hour and a half every month. This was in person. I left the group and I think they met like 2 more times and then they completely broke up. And it's because it's so much work to facilitate. Okay. So I'm not a huge fan of free. So even right now, I host a peer-led mastermind, meaning I've invited my friends. I love masterminds. So for me to host my own of friends is super easy. It still takes work. So I still charge money for my friends to join because of how much work and energy and effort it takes. Okay. People don't realize that. So for me, I'm actually not a fan of free. And the reason why is I think you get a certain level of person who will invest or a certain level of person that is excited by free. Okay. And usually the rooms look very, very different than when it's free and when it's not. And here's the really big problem with free is they're not committed. So when something pops up, there's a conflict, and you've got the conflict that you're invested in and you paid for, and the conflict that's free. Guess who doesn't show up to the free one? Everybody, right? So again, the transformation is sometimes in the transaction. The people in the room will be different when you actually have paid to get in, okay? So that is what I would say. If you are absolutely brand spanking new and you're just getting started, free might be the only way to go. The only problem is if you're brand spanking new, you probably don't know what a mastermind looks like or how to structure it, right? And it's kind of like the blind leading the blind sometimes. So just be really, really careful if you're ever considering that. And if you ever wanted to lead a peer-led mastermind, I am telling you, charge money, okay? When we decided we're charging, we need to, the level of people or the people that decided, you know what, I can't participate this year, right? They were okay to participate when it was free and they were not committed. And then they realized, wait, I'm gonna have to pay and I'm not even participating. They were out. It's going to attract a different type of person. And if the idea is to get an ROI, you wanna make sure it is the right person you're masterminding with. All right, next. Will you get access to outside speakers? So one of my favorite things is really adding to my connections. I love when masterminds allow people to come in all of the time versus just once a year. And the reason for that is like fresh blood, fresh ideas, right? I want to hear what is somebody else working on? What is somebody else doing? If I just hang out with the same people, that's a big problem. If you have a peer-led mastermind and it's the same people every year and you just keep learning from the same people, you don't have fresh ideas. You're learning from what they've been doing the last 3 years, right? So when I was really looking at masterminds, I wanted to make sure that there was new people, fresh blood coming in. And one of those was, do they have guest speakers? Okay. People that maybe I wouldn't have access to that they do. And they're going to use their connections to help me build mine. So that is a massive thing that I'm looking at is it just the facilitator? Is it just this group? Or will we have outside perspectives throughout the year? All right, you want to know about, are there in-person events or is it just virtual? So after the pandemic, a lot of masterminds decided, let's just do this virtually. They didn't bring back the in-person events. And I'm telling you, one of the best things for a mastermind is in-person events. Do not allow this just to be a virtual mastermind. I highly recommend you are getting in person with the mastermind every 3 to 4 months, okay? I am a big fan of planning out my quarter and really getting that motivation every 90 days. And if you're only meeting once every 6 months, once every year, if you're not meeting at all, you're going to be losing motivation. So make sure you find one that has the opportunities for in-person events, and then do what you can to get there in person. So like I've said, I've been in a mastermind now. Oh my goodness. I'm like, how old am I? I don't know, 18 years maybe. Okay. And I will tell you, in those last 18 years, I have been pregnant. I have been nursing. I have been a mom for the last 10 years. And I don't let those reasons stop me from going to my in-person events. Okay. Being together with that mastermind is just too powerful. And that is something I continuously did. So in case you're like, I'm not in a season of travel or I'm still nursing. I mean, there were times I brought my child with me. You do what you need to do, but I want to make sure you know it is so crucial. I wouldn't let yourself take a break for 5 years. Okay. It's going to be so difficult to keep that momentum going. All right. Last thing I would ask, what is the size of the group? And it's probably, my answer is going to surprise you. So I think there is a too small of a group. And I also think there's too big of a group. Okay. So I want you thinking about what is the size. So here's why I don't love super small masterminds. Okay. And when I say super small, I don't know, 4, 6, 10, like those are really, really small to me. And to me, having only a few people in a room where you can ask questions, and if you're all friends, you probably are similar and you're not going to have a lot of objections, right? I love being in a room where some people are friends and some people are acquaintances and some people I've never even spoken to. And when I raise my hand or ask a question or have a great idea, the person I don't know is not afraid to hurt my feelings and not afraid to say, Here's why I think it's a bad idea. Maybe if I just said it in a group of 4 friends, they're like, I love it. You should try it. Go for it, right? You don't want that. So too small, in my opinion, is a thing. Okay. I would say the smallest mastermind I would want to be a part of is probably maybe 20 minimum. I want diversity. I want different people in the room. I want different perspective, right? Now, can one be too big? Okay. I've actually been in a mastermind. One of my favorite masterminds was like, oh my goodness, I don't even know, 600 people. It was crazy, but it was amazing. And I will tell you this, the facilitator of that mastermind found ways to keep the intimacy in certain things. So like I still had my group of like 20 or 30 friends where I would get to like meet up with them. And if you have a great facilitator that is helping to keep the intimacy while the program is growing, you're in great hands. I've also been in a room with hundreds of people and there was no intimacy and we were just lost. There was no accountability. Nobody knew your name. Like if you walked down the road and you saw the facilitator, they would have no idea you were even in the program. That is not something you want to be doing either. So I would be asking, how are they making sure you are still seen, you are still heard, you have opportunity for small group? Do you still have an individual hot seat or laser coaching? That is one thing that as big as we are getting, like the bigger we are getting, we make sure everybody at every retreat has an opportunity to ask their question and get individual people giving you their perspective. So I really hope this is helping you prepare for making this decision. And I am telling you, I am not just doing this because I have my own mastermind. I only have my own mastermind because I've been a part of masterminds for literally almost 2 decades. And when you ask me, Stacy, how have you grown so fast? How have you become so successful? I am telling you, one of the 5 answers I would have to give you is being in a mastermind, having those people around me. All right. So I hope this gives you more ideas of what you can ask and what you can say. All right. And even if you aren't considering our Powerhouse Mastermind, I highly encourage you to check out a mastermind. Join one, join something, right? Check out, start interviewing people, start figuring out who's got a mastermind. All right, the last couple minutes, for those of you that want to hear details of what our specific Powerhouse Mastermind looks like, stick around and I'm going to give you a few bullet points of what's included so that you know as you're making your decision, would ours be a good fit for you? All right, first up, do you even qualify? That was another thing I forgot to ask is there are sometimes qualifications to a mastermind. So my mastermind specifically called Powerhouse, we have a few qualifiers. You must be producing multiple 6 figures a year in revenue. Okay. There isn't a specific number because everybody's different. All right. It's possible that you're low multiple 6 figures, but you have XYZ going for you and you're a perfect fit for the group. It's also possible you're at 800,000 a year, but you have so many things to work on. We may put you in well-oiled instead. Right. So that is one, is multiple 6 figures a year to even qualify. Number 2, we are looking for somebody who already has at least 3 team members. So powerhouses are for people that want to hit, 7 and 8 figures and beyond. And they're not going to do that without a team. So most of the people in the room, 99% of the people in the room have a team and are growing their team. And if you come in as a solopreneur, it's not going to be the best fit for you. So we are strictly looking at people that already have a team of 3 people or more and are looking to grow their team. All right. And then the next piece and the last piece that we're looking for is that you have a minimum goal in the next 12 months of hitting 7 figures a year or more. And the reason we made this really important is because this room is filled with go-getters. Like I'm talking big action takers, big doers. And if you're really comfortable at 200,000 and you just want to hit 250 and you feel good, we're going to be working on way different stuff than if you're shooting for 7, right? So for us, we are looking for people that have massive dreams that want to hit that. If you're really comfortable and you're really settled and you don't want to even come close to 7 figures, I would look at well-oiled operations. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to stay small and feeling really great about that. It's just, this is who the room is made up of. And we don't want you to feel uncomfortable and we don't want them to feel uncomfortable when they're saying these crazy big goals, right? All right. So what do you get? What do you get? What do you get access to? So it is a 12-month program. All right. So the first thing you get is a private community where it's not a Facebook group, but it kind of feels something like that. So this is a group you get access to all of the members of Powerhouse. You can post in there as much as you want, any questions you have, and to have that board of directors that they're going to say, oh, do this, or oh, here's my CPA, or here's the guy I love running our Facebook ads. You're going to get all of that connection right inside of our private members area only. Next, weekly live coaching sessions. So I am actually the one in the program. I would say I'm inside of Powerhouse 3 to 4 times a month. If I'm not there, it's usually because I have a travel conflict, but in my place is like my director of marketing, my director of ops, director of customer success. So you're still getting a really high level trainer. And every single week that we are in there, there is actually training going on. And then we open up to laser coaching as well. So that is just inside of Powerhouse, exclusive to just those members. Plus, we have a brand spanking new Powerhouse curriculum. So what does that look like? Well, every single month, I'm going to be going in there and teaching it live. And then from there, it'll be added into your portal. All right. So every single month, it is going to be updated trainings, content, deeper dives into the well-oiled curriculum. But this curriculum is specifically for powerhouses. Nobody else is going to get access to this curriculum. The curriculum is designed for people looking to hit 7 figures and beyond, but have that truly well-oiled machine where the business isn't reliant on you. You are focusing on building the team, putting in the systems, honestly, just freeing up your time while making more money in the program. And then we have 3 in-person retreats throughout the year. So these in-person retreats, they're 2 days. They're usually at a specific location in the United States. So we usually just travel like all around the country. We pick those dates and times ahead and give you a calendar so you can see what's coming up. All right. So the next one we have coming up as I'm recording this, we're heading to Clearwater Beach, Florida, spending 2 days together brainstorming. There's usually a speaker that attends at these events. And it's a phenomenal time. And it's one of those things where it's like, do whatever you need to do to make those times work. All of the sessions are recorded and put in your portal because not everybody can make it every time. Sometimes there is something big you do not want to miss. And we have that saved for you in the future. Some other places we're heading, we are heading to Chicago after Clearwater. We are heading to Paris, which is a bonus event. So it is not one of our 3 events that are included. This is just a bonus extra event we put in there. So if somebody couldn't make it, you don't have to feel bad. But we've got some really fun stuff planned this year. We also do a virtual conference 2 times a year. It is strategically virtual because we let you invite your entire team to join us. So we just did one recently and it was a 4-hour event, and we had an event, a section focused on marketing, one on operations, one on fulfillment. So you could decide what team members do I want and at what time, and then set up your day and have your leaders there or your key players to come. And it's every 6 months and it's in between those 3 retreats. So when I said what are they doing to keep motivation going? This is one of those strategies. Next, we have the most incredible speakers. So in the last, I would say 12 months, here are some of the people we've had speak. We had a female founder, Amanda Tress. She owns a fitness company. I think she did like 50 million that year when she came in and spoke. Pretty incredible. Built it in 7 years, you guys. It was incredible to watch and to hear her story. We had online digital course creator, Amy Porterfield. I think she's generated like over 80 million in digital courses. We just had Farm Girl Flowers. So if you haven't heard of Farm Girl Flowers, it's this beautiful e-commerce subscription site where they sell the most gorgeous flowers. And I think at peak, she was like 62 million in business. We have some killer speakers that, again, you might not have access to otherwise. We actually have coming up very, very soon, founder of Dry Bar, Allie Webb. She is our next guest expert coming into Powerhouse. So not only do you have amazing people coming in, but we have all of those recorded and you'll be able to see. So if you're like, oh my goodness, I miss Amanda Tress and I'm in the fitness space and that would have been awesome. Great. We have it recorded. So you can go in the portal, grab the old training. We can tell you when it was and all of that, and you can go rewatch it. So you get access to the old content as well as what's up and coming. A huge perk, if you happen to be a member of Well Oiled or you've been debating if you should join Well Oiled, we give access to Powerhouse to everything Well Oiled gets. So good news is you're getting everything. If you're already in Well Oiled, if you choose to upgrade, you're not losing access to anything. And then the last thing is that we offer monthly one-on-one private accountability coaching. So in Powerhouse, I am definitely one of the main strategists, and I'm giving ideas and helping and sharing and helping you plan your 90 days and your annual and all of that. But then once you've solidified your next action steps, we've got somebody that you're going to speak to on Zoom every month that knows your goals and is going to help hold you accountable. It is a game changer. All right. So if you're considering a mastermind and you are really excited to hear all the details on Powerhouse, we are currently accepting applications for our next round. And here's what I'll tell you. If you want to get into the Clearwater Beach retreat, our deadline for that to RSVP is coming up really, really soon. So you can either go to smallbusinesspowerhouse.com, or you can DM me the word mastermind on Instagram at Stacy Tuschl. Either way, you're going to get all of the details. So again, go to smallbusinesspowerhouse.com, and I would love to see your application come through.